This might be the most important video you watch this year. In July 2025, renowned environmentalist David Suzuki said something that sent shockwaves across the world. Humanity has lost the fight against climate change. And now, in 2026, the data makes it very hard to argue with him. This isn't about opinion. This isn't about politics. This is about science. And today, we're looking at the real numbers. CO2 levels, global temperature records, the 1.5 degrees C target, planetary boundaries, and the question no one wants to answer. Have we already crossed the point of no return? Let's go back for a moment. In 1988, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change was created to give policymakers scientific guidance on climate change. Soon after, the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change was formed. Then came annual climate summits, global negotiations, promises of emissions cuts, and historic agreements. In 1997, the Kyoto Protocol aimed to reduce emissions by 5%. In 2010, the Cancun Agreement formally recognized the 2 degrees C threshold. Then, in 2015, nearly every nation on Earth signed the Paris Agreement at COP21 in Paris. That moment should have changed everything. The world agreed to limit warming to well below 2 degrees C and pursue efforts to stay within 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels. 1.5 degrees doesn't sound like much, but it is everything. The IPCC warned that at 1.5 degrees C, we would see extreme heat waves double in frequency, coral reefs collapse, food systems destabilize, and hundreds of millions pushed into climate vulnerability. In 2018, scientists made it clear emissions had to peak by 2025 and fall by 43% by 2030. It is now 2026. Emissions did not peak, they rose. In June 2025, atmospheric CO2 reached 427 parts per million. The last time carbon dioxide levels were that high was more than 3 million years ago, when global temperatures were several degrees warmer and sea levels were around 25 meters higher than today. And the most alarming part? CO2 is still rising. The remaining carbon budget for even a 50% chance of staying under 1.5 degrees C has shrunk dramatically. At current emission rates, we could exhaust it within this decade. Meanwhile, temperature records continue to fall. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration and NASA, the past decade has been the hottest since modern records began. 2023 was the warmest year ever recorded until 2024 broke that record. Global temperatures in 2024 reached approximately 1.55 degrees C above pre-industrial levels. That is not a projection, that is reality. Extreme weather events are intensifying. Heat waves that once occurred once every 10 years now strike twice as often at 1.5 degrees C of warming. Wildfires are larger. Hurricanes intensify faster over warmer oceans. Flooding events that were once rare are becoming routine. Climate change is no longer a future threat. It is a present emergency. But climate change is only part of the story. In the mid-2000s, scientists led by Johann Rostrom introduced the concept of planetary boundaries, 9 Earth system limits that define a safe operating space for humanity. Cross too many of them, and the stability of our planet begins to unravel. As of the latest research, 7 of those 9 boundaries have been crossed: climate change, biosphere integrity, land system change, freshwater use, biogeochemical flows, novel entities like chemical pollution, and now ocean acidification. Since the Industrial Revolution, ocean surface pH has fallen by around 0.1 units, representing roughly a 30 to 40% increase in acidity. Coral reef systems that support nearly 1 billion people are already destabilizing. only 2 planetary boundaries remain in the safe zone, including the ozone layer, which is recovering thanks to global cooperation. Which proves something critical. When humanity acts decisively, we can solve planetary crises. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Despite decades of warnings, global fossil fuel subsidies still approach nearly $1 trillion annually. Oil and gas exploration continues. Profits continue. Meanwhile, individuals are told to turn down thermostats and recycle more plastic. Personal action matters, not because it alone changes global emissions, but because collective pressure changes politics, markets, and systems. Cultural shifts create policy shifts, and policy shifts create structural change. So, have we lost? If winning meant staying safely under 1.5 degrees C without overshoot, then yes, that battle appears lost. Many climate models now suggest a temporary overshoot is likely, possibly reaching 1.7 or 1.8 degrees C before carbon removal technologies and aggressive decarbonization bring temperatures back down by the end of the century. It will require everything: renewable expansion, electrification of transport, methane reduction, reforestation, carbon capture, net negative emissions. The tools exist. Solar, wind, and battery costs have dropped dramatically since 2010. Clean energy is more affordable than ever. Many nations have net zero pledges. The question is not whether we can act. The question is whether we will. The Earth is resilient. Life has survived asteroid impacts, ice ages, and mass extinctions. The real question is not whether the planet survives. It will. The question is what kind of world humans inherit in 2100. Because at current warming rates, approximately 0.27 degrees per decade, billions of people will face increased vulnerability within this century. That is not speculation. That is trajectory. But trajectories can change. History shows us that global cooperation is possible. The ozone layer recovery proves it. Rapid technological revolutions prove it. Social movements prove it. We are not powerless. We are late. There is a difference. So maybe the fight for 1.5 degrees was lost, but the fight for 1.6, 1.7, or 1.8, that is still happening, and every tenth of a degree matters. The future is not decided in one dramatic moment. It is shaped by cumulative choices, political, economic, cultural, made year after year. We missed opportunities. We delayed. We failed in many ways. But this story is not finished. The most dangerous decade to be alive may be this one, but it may be also the decade that determines whether collapse accelerates or stabilizes. So the real question isn't whether we lost the fight. It's who we choose to be next. If you made it this far, let me know your thoughts below, because this conversation isn't optional anymore. It's necessary.